Welcome,
Have whatever
queens.
you dream. Hey, queen.
Welcome.
Listen to your own inner
We
voice.
vibing.
Hey, queen.
We're queening.
You know what
How you feeling?
Hey,
Put your crown on.
Hey, queen. We see you. Hey, queen. We're not
Welcome.
alone. Hey, queen. Keep going. Hey, queen.
Welcome to our final event for Sacred Sexy Sovereign. Make life more sovereign. This is by far my most exciting day for me personally. Sovereign is my word, my word for 2024. Really, I feel like it's an energy my soul came here to embody and came here to teach on. And I'm so jazzed up about this topic tonight because it really epitomizes everything that we've been talking about already. Sacred, which is your intention, carving that space and time, one element of boundaries. And then we have sexy yesterday, embodiment, your power. Today, sovereign. It's both of those put together, put into action. It's your embodied intention. That's what sovereignty is. And so I'm curious for you, what's your definition of sovereignty, dear ones? It could also mean your queenly energy, your power, your choicefulness, your ability to say yes or no in your own life. It could be your boundaries, your agreements in the different relationships in your life. Remember, everything is relationship. Everything is negotiable, and you have choice, you have power, you have sovereignty, and we're gonna get you embodied in that sovereignty tonight, dear ones. Once you're here with me, pop a comment in the chat. I would love to welcome you, queen, to our day 3 event. We are definitely gonna get moving and grooving. How are you feeling? I was feeling a little slower and more sultry this evening. It's very dark here in Maryland where I live. It's raining all day. But still, just before going live with you, I lit a bunch of candles on my altar. I'm going to light a candle now. I invite you to do the same if you wish, just to, and lose my earring. Just to bring that sense of, you know what, I'm just going to take them off. That sense of sacredness and boundary and casting that circle around our time together tonight. So if you would like to join me, let's light our candles now. Carving that sacred space for yourself. Thanking yourself for choosing to be here live or in the replay. You are so worthy of this sacred, sexy, sovereign life. Welcome, queen. Welcome yourself. Welcome your sovereign archetype. Yes, sovereignty. I've been reflecting more and more. What does this mean? You know, for me, one way it's been showing up lately, for instance, with these 3 events I've done 3 days in a row, it's like not planning, not over planning every single thing. It's trusting. It's scary to trust. It's scary to show up without the perfect plan. I have some notes written down, but for the most part, I'm winging it. I'm showing up. I'm feeling into my body, into the collective energy, what wants to be shared, what wants to be said, what wants to be taught on. And I'm trusting that the right words will flow, that the right energy will be cultivated here. And that's what I do in my group coaching. That's what I do in my one-on-one sessions. Because that sovereignty, it's trusting that in the moment you will know the right way to go, How much trust do you have in your own life, dear ones? How much sovereignty do you give yourself in your life to really trust your own intuition? Listen to your body, checking in, just like yesterday with Sexy, checking in with your embodied experience to say, oh, what am I feeling right now? Do I feel like I want a crush it cardio workout in the morning? Or am I feeling more like a slow, sensual, intuitive movement session for myself? That's sovereignty. Sovereignty, yeah. To me, my definition of relational sovereignty is everyone gets to ask for what they want and need, and everyone gets to say no. Think about that for a second. How does that shift things in your relational web, in your relational field, if truly you were free to ask for what you wanted and needed in every relationship because you trusted that those who have the capacity, the resources, the energy to say yes will choose that for themselves. You don't have to like protect them or do that emotional labor for them. And those that don't will say no. It's a huge leap of faith to ask for what you want or need because so much of us have been conditioned, especially as women in the patriarchy, to always caretake for others, to do all that invisible emotional labor, maybe like we saw our mothers do, our aunties, all the women in the media, right? And so we really had that imprinted on us that it's not safe in community for me to voice my needs, let alone my desires, because that's going to place an undue burden on another person, and it's my responsibility to take care of them. And actually, we shouldn't talk about our needs at all. We should just implicitly attune to what everyone else needs and meet those needs, and somehow that will bring reciprocity and make sure our needs get met. Can I get an amen? If you are also from a codependent family, relational community, experienced this a lot as a woman in an evangelical community as well. Deep breaths. We got this. So it's not easy to step into our sovereignty. We've received all of this conditioning our whole lives. And then on top of that, we have our inner child. We have that early childhood experience to contend with as well. And so our inner child is always with us. Maybe you can feel her right now. Just imagine her crawling onto your lap, sitting here with you. She has her own set of needs. She has her own set of desires. She has her own set of agreements she wished she could have made. And now you can make them for her. Dear ones, and agreements, when you hear me say agreements, these are the spoken or unspoken contracts that we hold in every relationship of our lives. Mostly, that iceberg under the surface, they're unspoken, they're unconscious. We probably have unmatched, mismatched agreements in most of our relationships because we don't speak about them. We might have different definitions with these other people of what the relationship is, how we need to meet our needs in that relationship might be mismatched, misaligned. And so sovereignty is going to be a tool in your toolkit for bringing in direct communication in those relationships and actually getting that mismatched agreement onto an equal playing field, onto getting on the same page with these other beings in your life, dear ones. And really coming into sovereign relationship with your work, with your intentions throughout the day, the weeks, the months, the years, relationship with your purpose, your leadership, right? I'm a leadership coach. We're talking about nourished leaders this week. your relationship to every aspect of your life, because the truth is, dear ones, we shy away from this direct relating because it doesn't feel safe. We know deep down that it's going to take a lot of courage to get clear on every relationship in our lives. We know it's going to take a lot of courage to speak our needs, let alone our desires. We know it takes great courage to stay connected to the body, like we talked about yesterday, to that inner child, to that nervous system experience. Oh, we'd rather escape and shut down and run away from that shit. It's vulnerable. Oh my goodness. I know this better than most people. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm launching a program right now. I'm live right now. I've asked lots of people to come and watch me go live and talk about these things. This is vulnerable. And there is a huge part of me that is terrified. There's a huge part of me that does not want to be sovereign, because sovereignty feels really unsafe. Being visible, claiming my power, being direct, being clear. And yet, once you've tasted it, can't go back. You know that it's in alignment with your soul's essence, which is what we're talking about all week. And it's really for your greater good, and it's for everyone's greater good. And that doesn't mean everyone gets that piece of you all the time. Remember, we talked about titration, safety, and expansion. We can't always be in expansion. We can't always be visible. We really have to go into the cave and then come out of the cave, right? And not everyone in your life deserves your fullest expression. And not everybody can be trusted with your deepest vulnerabilities. And that's where boundaries come in. So we're going to do a lot of talk about boundaries tonight. But first, a dance, if you will. And I'm feeling kind of slow and sultry. So I picked this song by Sahara Rose, Trust Flow. And this really encapsulates for us tonight what sovereignty is. That trust in something greater, and that trust in yourself. You are so worthy, Queen. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dance like no one's watching, because I'm the only one being watched. All right, here we go, here we go. Just in time. Just move your body however feels good. Feel every inch of your body. Inhabit it from the inside out. In your system tonight, I invite you to stretch. Just move. Trust flow, surrender, let go. Let it go. Ooh! Yes. Even for a slower dance, I am like out of breath. How are we feeling? How was that in your system? Just checking in here, landing back. Y'all knew we were gonna dance. We are always gonna dance. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Feels so expansive to me. Just feels like effervescent and like, okay, now I'm here. I've landed, I'm grounded. So I really hope if you get one thing from these 3 days together, it's to dance more. That was my only New Year's resolution. And I'm already following through because I'm going dancing with a bunch of ladies on Friday night. And if it wasn't for what we're talking about here today, if it wasn't for sovereignty, y'all, I just wouldn't put myself out there. I wouldn't dance like a crazy person on the internet. You know, I wouldn't be the one like starting the party on the dance floor, which is typically my role at weddings, birthday parties, etc., etc. And it's because with that sovereignty piece, I really do what I want. I do what feels good because I know I have my own back. And I know that if you're trying to please everyone, you are definitely not pleasing yourself. And we are queens. And it's really no one else's job to please you. You know? That's something for you to figure out for yourself and then get really clear on. That's why direct communication is so important. So let's shut down the eyes. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. What do you desire? What do you want? First thing that comes to mind. Type it in the chat if you want to, if you may be so vulnerable. It could be what you want in life. Maybe that was the first thing. What you want this year, 2024's intention. Or it could be like in this moment, I want a glass of water. The relationship to our desires. We talked about that yesterday. It's key here. It's key for sovereignty because most of us live our lives just waiting for that desire to just fall into our laps, but we don't even know what we want. And if we do know what we want, we certainly don't want to risk saying it out loud. But if you can't share your desires with your friends, with strangers on the internet, with your coach, with yourself, who can you share it with? Your desires can be trusted. They are sacred and they are your compass back to what matters most to you. Your compass to your purpose, to your greatest leadership expression. Okay, so let's talk about sovereignty. Number one, are you in the driver's seat of your life? What's your body got to say about that? Are you in the driver's seat? Are you the one making the choices about your life right now? Are you in the passenger seat? Are you in the back seat? Maybe you're hogtied in the trunk. I had one client, she was like, I am hogtied in the trunk. And I was like, I'm going to use that every time I talk about this now. Oh, it's so good. And usually it's mixed, right? It's like there's parts of us that feel like they're driving. There's parts of us that are like gripping the wheel in a control that's not so great. And then there's parts of us hogtied in the back. Or maybe tied to the roof, whatever your metaphor is. I love in Big Magic by Liz Gilbert, she says, she was letting fear drive the car of her creative life, of her writer life, when she started to become a writer. And she said once she figured it out, it was by telling fear, you can't touch the radio, but you can come along with me. I'm not going to kick you out of the car, but you're not touching the radio. You're not driving. You're not navigating. I'm going to buckle you up in the back seat situation. And I love that so much. It's like all these shadow parts, all these blocks to our sovereignty, whether it's fear, the inner critic, that inner mean girl, ego, or maybe it's the unconscious, unhealed inner child. Maybe we need to buckle them up in the car seat so they're safe. But we sure as hell ain't gonna let some little child drive the car. That's illegal and it's not safe. So it's bringing that into our conscious awareness. Who's making these decisions? Who's driving the car of my nervous system? Am I reacting to a trigger? Or am I taking a sacred pause, a deep breath, coming back inward to my body and my intuition, checking in with my values, and then responding rather than reacting? There's a huge difference. Sovereignty is even that sacred pause. It's like that trust. I don't have to stumble over my words to say everything in 10 seconds. I can slow it down, take a breath. I see this a lot with people giving speeches. And I notice it for myself too when I get nervous. I start talking really fast. But if I'm the adult in the driver's seat, I can have that nervous system sovereignty to check in, take a deep breath, feel my heart, say, I got this, and just trust. And sometimes we have to fake it. Sometimes we have to let ourselves act as though we trust in ourselves, even if we don't. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, well, what if I were the best in the world at what I do? How would I act? And then embody that as an archetype. And that's really great in certain situations for sovereignty. So that's the driver's seat metaphor. And then another great metaphor I work with is, are you in the main character role of your life? Because this is your one wild and precious life, as Mary Oliver said. As far as we know for sure, right? This is your one wild and precious life. You deserve to be the main character in it. And that doesn't mean being a narcissist or being an asshole, being selfish, but it means being intentional, being purposeful, being thoughtful about how you spend your time, your energy, your money, your life, and who you allow into it and who you don't. And so I see so many clients that are really playing that supporting lead, that best supporting actress role. They're winning the Oscar for the best supporting actress role of their own life because they are at constant war with that imposter syndrome, with that inner critic. They're really letting the drama of their lives pull them down. And if we don't learn the lessons from the drama, we are going to continue to repeat them. Because that's our universal assignment, as Gabby Bernstein would say. I really want you to be efficient in the shadow work of life. I want you to learn the lessons as quickly and efficiently as possible so you don't have to repeat them. And I want the same for myself. And I sure as hell know I am repeating those lessons all the time, including in this very moment. And it's not about shaming myself or making it bad or wrong, but it's really about getting curious. What's the drama that I keep repeating in my life? Maybe you can get curious in your journal right now. What are some of those shadows, recurring events in the movie of your life, to continue with this metaphor? Because we don't need it to be a series that goes on for 10 seasons, you know? Nobody wants a 4-hour movie. We just need that like 90-minute rising action, falling action, happy ending. Come on. So let's be efficient about it. Let's be conscious and awake as much as we can. But in fact, we are here to learn these lessons. I truly believe that's why your soul incarnated here. So to give it that space is important as well. But yeah, I want you to be in the main character role of your life. And if your life were a movie, like what point would you be at right now? Would you be at like the big building conflict? Would you be somewhere in the beginning, like just embarking on the journey? Maybe you wish you were in that montage part that goes by really quickly where all the hard work is being done. I constantly feel like I'm in that montage part, and I have to really slow down and remember that I don't want to fast forward through my life. I want you to get in the driver's seat. Number 2, I want you to speak your truth without having a panic attack. And no shame to those of us who suffer from anxiety and panic attacks. I am one among you. But to really be able to speak your truth from a place of embodied safety, we're going to practice that together. So, yeah, first of all, no is a complete sentence when it comes to speaking your truth. I say this all the time. So many of us, we really need that boundary lesson, like we talked about on day 1 with Make Your Life More Sacred. We just need that time, that spaciousness to feel our own bodies, to feel our own intuition, to discover our own power. And I think, like I said, that sacred pause so we can respond and not react is so important. But how do we communicate that in a world, in a culture that is asking so much of us, that has tied so much of our worth to how we can be of service to others, to how busy we are, to how much we can project on social media that our life is perfect and that we belong and that we have everything we want? How do we communicate that space that we need? We have to say no. We have to learn to say no. Write it down in your journal. Where in your life do you need to say no? You know this instinctively. You know where you need to say no. Write it down. So good. Oh, this is so good. Because I've done this before and it's just so fucking clear. And we want to avoid it so much, but this is your moment to own it and to claim it for yourself. So proud of you. That's the first step. That's the first step. Saying no. And there are other times when we need to say yes. And every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. So remember that. Maybe by saying no in these situations you've written down, you're saying yes to your purpose. You're saying yes to getting embodied and feeling sexy. You're saying yes to your creative passions. or the type of friendships you want to call in. That's a big one. We have to say no and really cut the dead weight of old relationships in order to call in those that we deep down desire. And what is the desert between what you desire and what you actually get? It's how worthy of it you feel. And we all go through this, so you are not alone. Truly, imposter syndrome is like after you've been manifesting something for years and one day you wake up and it is knocking at your door. Everything you've wanted. And imposter syndrome is not opening the door. It's right there. It's on your doorstep. You can see it through the keyhole. You know what it is. But that unworthiness comes up of, I'm not ready for this. I changed my mind. I don't want it. That's energetically what we're doing. Because as Marianne Williamson said, our greatest fear is not that we are unworthy. Our greatest fear is that we are just pure light and possibility. We're more afraid of success than we are of failure. What does that tell you? It tells me that imposter syndrome is completely natural and to be expected. In fact, I know it is because I've worked with some high-level women leaders that are terrified of failing and that feel like they're living a lie. So if it's true for them, it's probably true for all of us. I always tell my clients, if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, it's a sign that you're on the right path because it's a sign that you're getting closer to your manifestation. I really went off on a tangent about imposter syndrome, but it feels so relevant with sovereignty. Like, don't you feel like queens really experience a lot of imposter syndrome? When I think of sovereignty, I think of this queen on her throne. And it's not like 100% of the time she's like, yeah, I should totally be up here. No. She's probably like, if these bitches had democracy, I don't think I'd be voted in. Anyway, I digress. So, okay. Speaking your truth. Yes. So these are the shadows. We have so much unworthiness. It holds us back from speaking our truth. If you can't ask for what you want and need, if you can't speak your truth, then you're not going to get it. It cracks me up how many people are like, Ellen, I finally figured out what I want. And I'm like, great. Now it's time to ask for it. And they're like, let's do a million things besides that. Like when it comes time to design their action step in our coaching session, it's like, well, I just want to make a plan because I feel safe to make a plan and to be in the planning stage. And I'm like, okay, it's time to have the conversation. And it's like, oh, and that's where the nervous system piece is so important because you can talk it to death. You can write it to death in your journal. You can get all pumped up about it behind closed doors. But then when you're face to face with that person and it's time to speak your truth, if you get triggered, if your nervous system is in a fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, you might never be able to speak it. So, my favorite embodiment technique for this is called Jin Shin Jitsu. And a lot of you have done it with me before, but we're going to do it again because I think we all need a reminder. So this is the grandmother practice to acupressure. So it's even gentler touch than acupressure. And it's a hold. It's ancient Chinese medicine, but it's these holds that we bring to the body to instill a sense of safety. And I want you to practice these when you're on your own with your inner child so that when you're with the person you need to say no to, it comes more naturally. And there's some subtle ones you can bring in public as well. So right now we're just going to take our right hand, we're going to bring it to our heart. We're going to lean slightly forward into that hand. We're going to bring our left hand to the forehead. We're going to lean slightly forward into the forehead, right around the hairline. We're not squeezing, but it's not a light, nothing touch. It's right in between. We're just going to lean into it, and you can play with gravity here, closing the eyes. You can inhale, maybe it brings a natural rocking back and forth. And exhale. Do you feel like instantly how regulating that is? For your nervous system. Oh, beautiful. You're so worthy, dear one. You're so worthy of receiving this regulation. And it's not your fault that it can be so hard to come by in our culture. On the next breath, we're going to sit up straight. And we're going to bring that left hand now. We're going to remove it from the forehead, and we're going to bring it behind the head, the occiput where the brainstem meets the spine. We're just going to sort of bring that elbow back in space. And we're going to slightly tuck the chin. We're not leaning back here. We're really trying to keep perpendicular with the floor here. Close your eyes. Perfectly balanced between safety and expansion. Expansion is this back arm holding the head. We're opening up that back body. It's a heart opening pose, but then we've got that right hand on the heart. That safety. That I got my own back kind of a feel. We're just going to feel into this hold for a while, see how that changes things. Take a deep breath in. And finally, we're going to take that left hand again, and we're going to bring it to the womb space, the belly. And we're just going to roll the neck a few times. Settle in here. Feeling the experience of your hands that are holding your body. And feeling the experience of your body being held by your hands. And I will tell you, dear ones, it is one thing to receive body work from another, from a healer. And it is another thing to provide it for yourself. We're creating an infinite circle here of care. Caregiving and care receiving. And it gives your brain both sets of benefits. It's like a lot of oxytocin. And I'm not even doing skin to skin here. I've got my skin on fabric. So if you're able to get skin to skin, you're getting even more benefits. Beautiful. You can let those go. Shake out the hands. Check in. How do you feel? Ooh, I feel so regulated. Okay, now are you ready for some secret Jinshin Jitsu you can do anywhere without embarrassment? We're going to hold our fingers. So you can hold your entire left thumb with your right hand. Just sitting here like you're sitting at work in a meeting. But you're checking in secretly. The awareness of the thumb being held. What's that little guy like? And then the awareness of the hand that's doing the holding. What's that feel like? And we're going to move on to the pointer finger. I do this constantly now. If you've sat in circles with me, like moon circles, support group, I do it when I'm coaching, anytime, because I get activated. I'm human, I'm vulnerable, I'm so sensitive to people's experiences. I'm about to embark on the experience of becoming a licensed therapist. So I need these tools to keep myself grounded and regulated. We all do. It's how we stay open to the world. Moving on to the middle finger. Taking some deep breaths in. Just feeling the regulation that's coming in. You're giving yourself this support right now. And if that's a new experience, welcome, congratulations. It's vulnerable as hell, but it's like what you've probably been looking for all along. It was for me. When I first discovered self-compassion, the concept and the book by Kristin Neff, my whole world changed. I was like, I'm allowed to care for myself. I'm allowed to provide support for myself, love for myself, touch for myself. Wow, I can be my own best friend. And then I created my program, Become Your Own Soulmate, and everything snowballed from there. Yeah, this is the support we were always looking for. Through all the external things, you can let that go. The idea is you'd go through all fingers on both hands. Yeah. And I think truly to be sovereign, true sovereignty comes from trusting. And it's not just some like out there trust in the universe, which, I'm all on board with as a spiritual person. But truly, trust is cultivated in relationship with ourselves. And it doesn't mean we're going to get it right 100% of the time. It doesn't mean we're perfect. No one is. It doesn't exist. It means that we're going to partner with ourselves every step of the way, no matter what happens, even if we fail, especially if we fail, even when things are hard, but also when things are great, we're going to celebrate it. Yeah, like true sovereignty is showing up for yourself every day and saying, what do I need today? What do I want today? I'm doing a great job. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, with what I've been given. Also, I see my trauma. I see my past experiences. I see how hard this is. And I gotta give it to myself. I'm doing pretty damn good. And not berating ourselves when we make mistakes, because like science proves that just doesn't work as a tactic. And yet our inner critics really are hell-bent on making us believe that it does. All it does is like short circuit your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for, reasoning and critical thinking. Not a great strategy. A much better strategy is tending your nervous system, creating safety and regulation, which actually makes you, so from a polyvagal perspective, it makes you more socially likable, and it makes you more connected with eye contact, with the cadence of your voice. It makes you more open to those social interactions. And we know we need that like pro-social behavior to really create the relationships we desire and deserve, to create the lives we deserve, and to be the leaders that the world needs us to be and that we want to be. Yeah. So like really my model of leadership coaching is not about you like hacking the perfect plan like with your brain. It's about you becoming sovereign with your nervous system from an embodied perspective. And that's how we really hack any situation in life, because you're gonna do it with your body. Okay. Speaking your truth with embodied safety. And just to say again, certain relationships might not be safe to speak your truth in. Not everyone gets all of you all of the time. Trust your inner child here, especially when you've brought in this embodied safety and you've done this work for a while. If you're still getting red flags about certain people in your life, yeah, there's probably something to that. It's probably time to say no to that person or to change the agreement. I know we're running low on time. Okay, number 3, setting agreements and adjusting expectations in every relationship in our lives. So the first part of this is the boundaries. We have to like shake the etch-a-sketch of all of our unconscious agreements. Like, clear it out of there. Select all, delete. We really gotta like burn it all to the ground to build it back up intentionally. And I don't mean like go burn all your bridges tonight, but I mean like maybe carve some space and some time to be with yourself, with your inner child, with your new embodied safety. Start saying no all over the place, even to people you love. Just like get that space, that sacredness, that time, so you can start to dream into and envision what would be the best example of this relationship. What would be like my ideal best friend that I can call in? What would be my ideal partner that I can call in? What would be my ideal family that I can call in? And you can't change your family, but you can change your relationship with your family. That's the really good news. And so often, by changing our relationship to ourself, we are modeling sovereignty, which changes the people around us already. When I say start from a clean slate, what I really mean is have the courage to take the time to peel back those agreements and start to examine them. What am I unconsciously participating in? So write that down in your journal. Make space for it because you're going to reflect on that later. What agreements am I unconsciously participating in the most important relationships in my life? And what boundaries do I need to set? You already wrote down what you need to say no to. What other boundaries need to be set? Just right out the gate. Time boundaries, physical boundaries, maybe certain topic boundaries in general or with certain people, maybe boundaries with work. It's a very big one. Boundaries with screens or other addictions in your life. And then from that clean slate, we're going to start to build back up slowly. I want you to write down the top 5 relationships in your life. Just name them. And then go through each one. You're going to do a little audit. On a scale of 1 to 10, how does this relationship feel to my inner child? 1 being unsafe, 10 being the most safe and expansive. And sorry, I'm going fast. We've got 10 minutes left. You can do this exercise after our call, or hit pause if you're watching the replay and do this. Yeah, once you've checked in with that, I want you to really think about those lower number relationships. Yeah. Is there any hope for them? Do they need to stick around? There are certain people in our lives that are just going to be in our lives. And, maybe it doesn't even change an agreement. Maybe there's not even anything we have to say to them, but it's understanding for ourselves what the agreement is with that person, because no one is going to meet all your needs. But sometimes our inner child or unconscious agreement with this person is that we expect them to meet this need that we didn't even know we were like projecting onto this person. And so then it's like, oh, right. No. Okay. I see. I get it. I get that. And then maybe it's calling in a new relationship to meet that need. And sometimes we do need to cut people the fuck off. You know, some people truly are toxic and truly are not a good match for us. Whether it's a romantic partner, a friend, even family members. You know, we all know who I'm talking about. There's probably people popping up in your mind's eye right now. And you can trust yourself to handle that in the most appropriate, compassionate, wise way. Yeah. What would that look like? Okay. I wrote down some letters here. I'm trying to figure out what my own acronyms mean. Ecosystem of support. Okay. I want you to close your eyes and imagine yourself in this big web of threads, or it can be a constellation of stars, all connected. This is your ecosystem of support. This is your ideal ecosystem of support. Like for me, some of those people might be coaches, and some of those people might be my clients. Some of those people might be friends. Some people might be family. Your ideal ecosystem of support. And just imagine, blank slate, who would these individuals be? Is it like 10 best friends that are always around you? Or is it like one just good, solid friendship you talk on the phone once a month? We all have our needs and our desires. Yeah, with your partner, you know, are you going on date nights every week? Or are you just taking a few retreats together a year? Are you checking in every night before you fall asleep? The highs and lows of the day? What's your friend group like? Who are your mentors, your teachers? What's your spiritual community? How are those needs getting met? I didn't have those needs met for like 27 years of my life. Now it's like one of the most central pillars to my identity. Do you need creative community? What other needs are coming up in your relational ecosystem? How is worthiness getting in the way of this exercise? Is it like, oh, I'm just not the kind of person that has that kind of support? That would be so extra for me to have a coach. That would be so extra for me to have an entourage of healers and teachers and supporters. How might that be a block? What if you were the kind of person that had this exact map of support? What would you have to do to call it in? That's different for every one of us. But most of us need to start with the boundaries. And then we have the space to actually ask ourselves, wait, what do I need? What do I want? And we can build it up from there, slowly, one conversation at a time. A lot of this is calling in new relationships once that slate's been wiped clean. But a big part of it is changing the agreements in the relationships we keep. In those relationships you wrote down that have a high number of safety and expansion in your system. I want you to write down what conversations you need to have with those loved ones. What agreements need to be made verbal? So much of the time we assume we're on the same page with our partner. We're like, oh yeah, like we've been together I've been with my husband for 13 years. You better believe I think he's a mind reader at this point. And he does the same to me. And then we're like, oh, that was an unconscious agreement. That was an unspoken nothing. No one's a mind reader. And that's real sovereignty, giving each other that space to be like, all right, how could you have known that? I never said it out loud. And it's the same with our friendships. Oh my gosh, I know for one, like I'm the type of person that has dozens of best friends, and I'm always calling in more female friends, especially. I am such an extrovert. And I know I can get really vulnerable and really triggered very easily. Like, oh, she doesn't like me. It's like, no, maybe her unspoken agreement is that she takes a few days to respond to messages. Oh, yeah. And if I need a quicker reply, I can ask for that. I don't shame my own needs. You know? And I know the difference between a need and a desire. And I know that sometimes in a certain season, those agreements need to shift. And that it really is up to me to meet my own needs. And one of the ways I do that is by communicating them and then giving people the space to say no. You know? No, that's not in my capacity to give right now. That's sovereignty. When someone says no to me, I have so much respect for them. I'm like, wow, thank you for modeling that sovereignty back to me and reminding me that our relationship is strong enough that we can say no to each other. Like, truly, that's authenticity. All right, dear ones, we're coming up to the end of our time. Maggie, are you still with me? It says I have one viewer live with me here. So if so, pop it in the comments. Yes. So good. We have one more giveaway. I'm going to give you all till tomorrow evening. But it's going to be this nice jojoba oil, which I use. It's got frankincense and grapefruit in it. It is so nice. And this will be for our homework giveaway winner for our day 3 homework question, which I'll be posting after this. And let's see. I think that's it for now. I want to remind you that doors are open to Nourished Leaders. So if you've gotten something out of these 3 days, I know a lot of people have watched the replay. We have 20 people signed up right now, and I'm probably going to make it an opt-in in the future for people to watch more replays. If you got something out of this, I really hope you'll consider joining us for Nourished Leaders. This will be our 2nd round ever. Our 1st round was last summer, and it was so amazing. And I just can't wait to see the group of women that are going to join this round. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is like buckle up because it's the ride of your life. A lot of people bring like a big project to this, but you don't have to. So if you join Nourished Leaders and maybe you're building a business or calling in a new passion project or like your whole purpose and identity are shifting, it's all welcome here. Any type of leadership goes. So we mostly have had entrepreneurs in the past, but it could be executives, it could be managers, it could be artists, entrepreneurs, stay-at-home moms. Everything is welcome. You are a leader and we need your leadership because in case you didn't know, things are challenging in our world. And I truly believe that the more expressed, the more embodied, the more sacred, sexy, sovereign we can be as women, the better leaders we can be. And the more we can model that authenticity and that expression to this world, and the more we trust ourselves to change it for the better. I'm so passionate about this, and I bring my background in women's leadership international work that I used to do. I bring my background in mindfulness, my embodied body work background, as well as my leadership coaching background. So if you're curious about this in the least, I absolutely encourage you to get on my calendar this week because it's currently $600 off. This is like the lowest rate that it will be this year. I think we're going to run it one more time this year, but the price will go up. So it's going up $600 on Sunday, January 13th. And if you join before then, you get some really nice bonuses, including a bonus session with me, a Soul's Essence meditation that was inspired by these 3 days together, as well as a embodiment class replay where I teach the foundations of fascia regulation. So some really nice bonuses in there, but you do have until the 19th to join us, which is next Saturday. And then we start on January 21st. This is a 12-week program for women leaders, and you get one-on-one coaching with me every single week, 1 hour of Zoom with me. It is so good to work together, to witness you, to hold that space, but also to give you that strategic back and forth and hold you accountable. And then we have monthly group sessions, which are like a mastermind of women leaders in your corner, but also that really sacred witnessing energy, non-judgmental space. And you get a 12-week self-paced course on leadership, which is just like, it was so divinely channeled this past summer. And let's see, there's an optional add-on retreat in the DC area this spring, the Nourish Leaders Retreat. There's just so much. So if you're curious, get on my calendar for a vibe check. I would love to chat with you, answer any questions you might have. And yeah, if it feels like a good fit, if my energy feels like a match for you, let's go for it. I'm not in the business of pushing people to work with me. I really feel like you should trust yourself, your own intuition in that process, and knowing if you're ready for this next step. But I will hold you accountable if you join us. I will hold you accountable to your desires, to your dreams, because you are so worthy and we so need you in this world to be the leader that you came here to be. So beautiful ones, thank you for allowing me to do my life's work in teaching on these topics. Sacred, sexy, sovereign. So much fun these past 3 days. I have gotten a lot out of it, and I hope you have too. Sending you so much love for your Sacred, Sexy, Sovereign 2024. Keep in touch. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to cheer you on, and we'll talk soon. Big love to you all. Good night.